We are live. We were just talking before we went live, me and Mr. George, about his new book, his upcoming book. For sure, we will talk about it later. We have to do something special because of your book. Welcome, everyone, to a new Juju Live session on the instruments in Egyptian dance. How to dance the instruments in Egyptian dance, the nature of instruments, the character of different instruments. So once again, what I've done is I have selected a few questions from students around this subject, and I have invited our beautiful, dear guest, Mr. George, who has been with us several times at our school, in live events. Welcome again. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahlan wa sahlan. He is going to answer the questions that I have selected as well. We're going to combine, as usual, our own perspectives and our own experience to give you the best information we can. Okay, so before we introduce ourselves, I'm going to launch the first question right ahead to get this going, and I'm going to invite whoever is watching to join us. Share your comments, share your questions if you have questions around the theme of how to dance Egyptian instruments, your relationship with the instruments. If there are specific things you would like us to answer, feel welcome to ask them in the comments while we are live, or just drop and say hi. Okay, so the first question I have selected is what are the musical instruments Oriental dancers must absolutely know? What are the instruments, like the must-know list for Oriental dancers, whoever practices Egyptian dance? What do you think about this? Because there are so many instruments, and some of them are more folkloric. Some of them are not so common in Egyptian music, at least not in the Egyptian music people usually dance to. So what would you say are the instruments they have to know, like basic knowledge?
If you dance to today's repertoire, you will have to know about the keyboard and the accordion, the darabuka or tabla, the hulla, the big duf, mazhar, and tambourine. If you dance to the golden era, then no keyboard, sometime accordion, but you have oud, the lute, kanun, psaltery, and ney, the flute, plus darabuka and tambourine. So they're different depending very much on what you dance to. If you're doing folklore, then you have different types. You have rababa, three rababa together with duf, which are very beautiful. Or you have mizmar, the oboes, three mizmar and a double-headed drum. Or you have arghul, sort of the sing-reed instrument. So it depends very much what you're dancing to.
And the tabla baladi for the Saidi.
Yes, that's
Also,
the double-headed one.
You know, when dancers ask this question, I'm always torn between the instruments that I like to dance to and the instruments that I think everybody should know. Now, nowadays in Egypt, for instance, the orchestras, I go back to my own orchestra in Egypt. So usually what we have is a reflection of what musicians are using in studio to record pop music, shabi music. Now, it's a little bit a reflection. So nowadays in Egypt, we have a mix between a modern orchestra and a classical orchestra. So we will always have the org for practical reasons, and you mentioned the org, although that's not an Oriental sound, it is not Oriental feeling at all. It's a practical choice, because the org can give body to the sound and it can replace certain instruments when they're missing.
Correct.
So it's not an aesthetic choice.
No.
It's a practical choice. Like, okay, it's always good to have an org just in case. And because it brings the entire orchestra together, it brings the sounds together. But instruments like the oud, like the kanun, like the kamanga, the violin, I believe that although those are classical, they are basic sensibility for Oriental dancers. They have to. So these are sounds you have to know. These are instruments you have to know. You have to understand what each of these instruments is asking for, the sensibility for each one, because the kamanga or the violin is not the same as the kanun or the oud or the tabla or the accordion. every instrument has its own specific voice and
Yes.
its own specific invitation,
Yeah.
almost like taking you to a different country.
Yes.
It's taking you to different places,
Correct.
movement wise
Yeah.
and emotion wise.
Yeah.
So I would add to your list the kanun, the oud, and the kamanga, the violin, the Oriental violin. Now, before we move to our presentation, and I will invite you to present yourself. Would you like to introduce yourself? Because sometimes we have people who don't know you. I usually share these videos on YouTube. So it's always a good surprise when dancers who don't know us drop by. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I am 76, but my brain is still 5-year-old.
Is that good? Is
I'm-
that good or bad?
Sorry?
Is that good or bad?
Oh, it's good.
حاجة حلوة ولا وحشة؟
لا حلو قوي. So I get along very
Okay,
well.
alhamdulillah.
I'm a child myself,
Okay.
and I like to study. I'm a bit of a nerd. I love to do research, play qanun, and tell jokes, lots of jokes. And being Egyptian, I flirt. You have to flirt all the time to stay young.
لازم. Must. Okay, I will introduce myself in a little second. I'm just saying hi to the beautiful ladies who are here with us live. Hi, Jamila. Hi, Morag. Hi, Tamara. Hi, Jen. Welcome. Thank you for dropping by. And please share your questions. I always learn a lot from dancers' questions.
Yes.
Sometimes they ask questions that didn't even cross my mind, and they open up new subjects and new reflections that I really find interesting. So guys, when I tell you share your questions, I am being generous, but I'm also being very selfish because I really love to know what you wonder and what you need help with, and what are your difficulties, and what are the things that you love when dealing with musical instruments. So feel welcome to share your questions once again. And hi, and thank you for dropping by. Now, very quickly, my name is Joana Saahirah. There is my name here. I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, and choreographer who started my career in Egypt. And I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. And it is with great pleasure that I launch the last, well, not last, we have 3 more. The next question: does each musical instrument have a character of its own?
So what was the question again? I didn't hear it.
Does each musical instrument have a character of its own?
Of course. Absolutely.
Can you give us examples?
The qanun is really magical, and it's sort of like smoking hashish without smoking hashish. It's the best kind of tarab because you're playing, each note is done by 6 string, 3 right hand, 3 left hand, and the sound is so rich.
When dancers ask me this, I am always happy that they do, because this opens a lot of doors. First of all, we have to distinguish, at least this is how I see it, and this is how I teach it. We have to distinguish instruments that are used in Egyptian folklore, like the ones you mentioned, the mizmar, the rababa, the tabla baladi, the arghul, all these instruments that are used and associated with folklore.
Yeah.
And then the classical instruments that we may hear in a typical Egyptian orchestra, classical or modern. But we also have earthy sounds, earthy instruments, and more etherical, more spiritual sounds.
Yes.
Some instruments pull you towards the ground, they pull you towards the floor, towards the earth, and others pull you upwards.
Yeah.
They pull you towards the sky. Some instruments are used for effects of tarab, for transcendence, for the mawalid, for Sufi music. So these are sounds that are elevating and tarab inducing. And some instruments are used just for fun, just for sharing, just for social gatherings and joy. So understanding what each instrument is all about and the character of each instrument, it's also about understanding the context in which each instrument is being played and how it's inviting you to move and where. So this is, it's beautiful, because when you study Egyptian instruments, you study the culture behind them.
Oh yeah.
We study why, who plays this instrument, where, when, for what. And this gives you a wide idea, a wide perspective of not only Egyptian music, but Egyptian culture.
That's correct.
Okay?
When it's Sufi and Tarab and being in harmony with nature, cosmos, and God, and the Sufi saints, the flute is the best instrument, the nai and the salamiyya. These are the best. And there's a beautiful poem about the nai. Why is it sad? It says, well, because it was in the ground, somebody came and cut it from the ground, so it's crying because it wants to get back to its mother Earth. I mean, it's a story. I mean, it's not real, but it tells you it's a very plaintive sound. It can be very happy too, but for Sufi music, the nai is the best. Yeah.
But that story makes sense. It makes sense. It's a metaphor, but it makes perfect sense, because in fact, sounds like the sound of the ney, the kawala, all the brothers and sisters from the ney. These
Yes.
are sounds that have lost touch with the ground.
It's an extension of your lungs.
It is.
Yeah,
It
you
is.
don't
And it
sing.
is elevating. It is elevating. It is a sound that pulls you up. It detaches you from Mother Earth. It calls you back to the sky. Literally, it's beautiful. Okay, what else do we have here? Are there specific movements, steps, and postures for specific instruments?
Okay, there are two schools of thoughts. One is ignore the instrument, follow the melody. And one is follow the melody and do not ignore the instrument. So when I play kanun, people say, oh, I have to do shimmy because you're doing brrr. What they don't understand is that I do brrr because my sound dies quickly. I'm not a violin, I'm not a flute. So to maintain the sound, I have to keep on plucking. But if you want to shimmy, go ahead. But that's not the point.
This is actually a very polemic question, because there are teachers and there are schools, even well-known teachers in schools, that tell students, when you hear the tabla, these are the movements that you do. When you hear the kanun, this is what you do. This step, this movement. When you hear the ney, these are the movements that you do. And I do not agree with this. Okay, I think that's nonsensical. But there is a truth close to it. So I don't agree with it, but what I do know and what I do and teach is there are no specific movements or steps for specific instruments, but there is a specific sensibility and invitation for each instrument. So I'm not going to dance the ney the same way I dance darbuka. I'm not going to dance darbuka the same way I dance kamanga. I'm not going to dance kamanga the same way I dance accordion. Every instrument will ask for a specific mood, مزاج, يعني مزاج مختلف.
Yeah.
And for specific dynamics.
Joan, I'll be right back. I have to blow my nose. I'll be right back.
Sure. But that doesn't mean that there are specific movements and steps. Now, I know that dancers, we in general, not only dancers, we like formulas and we like concrete answers. We like shortcuts. But I have found out that in Egyptian dance, there are no formulas and no shortcuts. We really have to feel each instrument, feel what it asks for, and develop our sensibility. Sharpen our ear, our heart, our instinct, and also our knowledge of the dance, so that we have vocabulary and technical skills to respond to the call of each instrument. But the fact that some teachers will tell you, no, for this instrument, this is what you do. That bothers me, first of all, because as far as I know, that does not exist. This is an invention that someone came up with, telling students that for specific instruments, they have specific steps. They do not correspond to the experience of Egyptian dance that I personally know. And they don't allow the freedom, the creative freedom, and the personal relationship that each dancer has to develop with instruments. So if I tell you, this is what you do when you listen to the duf, this is what you do when you listen to the kanun, or when you listen to the violin, I am limiting your creativity. I am limiting your ear. I am limiting your sensibility. I am limiting your dance. I'm not allowing you to use your resources, your intelligence, your intuition, your sense. I'm not allowing you to develop as a dancer. I'm actually cutting your legs. I am limiting you. So I don't agree with this story of this is what you do when this instrument comes. This is what you do when that instrument plays, and here you do that step, and here I don't agree with that. But I do agree, again, that there is a sensibility and a knowledge around that specific instrument that will guide you into where does this instrument want me to go?
Yeah.
Where is this taking me? How is this inviting me to move? That I accept, and that I do and work with. Now, one more question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Important point about the accordion and the tabla. There is always a dialogue. And this section called the very, very down-to-earth Muhammad Ali Street dialogue between the accordion and the tabla. And that's sort of very specific. You cannot do it on the kanun or the oud. It used to be done on the flute, but now it's done on the accordion because the sound is way more powerful. Yeah.
Are you talking about the Baladi Awadi?
Sorry?
Are you talking about the Awadi, the Baladi Awadi?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Most students have heard about this.
It's a dialogue between the accordion and the drum, and it's beautiful. Beautiful.
Ba 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 ba. Da di da di da di da da. Pam 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 pam. Ba da 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 da. Da di da da. How about that? مش كده? That's what you're talking about, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yes, for sure. And that's another aspect of instruments, which is the way they relate to each other, right? So in the Baladi Awadi, the accordion and the darbuka or tabla, they dialogue in a very obvious way. There is a very clear conversation. So we start with the taksim, the accordion, only the accordion. Then the tabla comes little by little. He gets into the conversation, and it becomes a very, very clear question and answer. But there are questions and answers with many instruments in an orchestra. Less obvious, not so obvious, and perhaps not so expressive, because usually there are so many sounds playing at the same time. So in a full orchestra, you may have, I'm referring back to my own orchestra, right? Because I was rehearsing with the musicians, and I was listening, and I was indicating what I wanted, and very frequently it was hard for me even to listen to the question and answer dynamic, because there were so many instruments playing at the same time. So if they were not very sharp and very well orchestrated, there can be a little bit of a mess. And that's not good for dances, because if there is a mess in the orchestra, there will be a mess in my dance, because I can only move what I listen. So, but that question and answer between instruments, it's a very typical, very frequent dynamic in Egyptian music. A little bit more subtle than in the Baladi Awadi, but it's there. And that's a subject in itself, aside from the character of the instruments. Learning how to listen and dance to the dialogue.
People think that this Baladi stuff is easy. It's not easy. It has to be very precise. This is really high engineering dialogue between the drum and the tabla. Had to be very precise. Otherwise,
and not only very precise, but very inspired and on the spot. Because the Baladi Awadi, if we do it by the book, is improvised. And I've told this story to my students many times. I'm going to tell it because I know you're going to enjoy this one. When I started performing in Egypt and I asked my musicians for the Beledi Awadi, first of all, they did not recommend me the Beledi Awadi. They said, Juju, nobody's doing this. You are a star. You don't want to be seen doing a Beledi Awadi. This is very Muhammad Ali. No, no, no. Entinegma, don't do that. I say, guys, it is my show. I'm doing what I want.
Good.
I am totally Beledi. I'm Bint al Beled. I'm going to do it. If people don't like it, bad luck. What can I do? I'm going to do what I feel. So nobody was doing Beledi Awadi at the time. It was not trendy at all.
Really?
At all. Yeah, nobody. Not even the Egyptian dancers were doing it. So I started doing it against their advice. And the first rehearsal I did, I asked my accordionist, what are you going to do in the Awadi so that I know? Show me. And he said, Ya Juju, don't worry. I will give you my heart, Yani. I will do my best. I said, yeah, I know you will give me my heart, but what will you do? Show me. Because I want to be prepared. He said, La, ana hor. Yani, it's free. I am free. I don't know what I will do. How come you don't know what you will do? How come you don't know? La, yani, bin mazagi. Bin mazagi. I will do it from my mood. I don't know how it will flow. I was in panic. The first time I was in panic, I said, okay, and when does the tabla come in? We don't know. مش عارفين. Let's see. I say, let's see. Okay, so nobody knows? No, nobody knows. And I remember I felt very unsettled because I was used to improvising, but I knew the songs that I was gonna dance to. And this was totally new for me. And then I got used to it and I got very good at it, very comfortable. The Beledi Awadi was always my forte, was the thing that I was the best at because of my personality, because of my way. I love it.
It's
And
also
every time
very joyful, very joyful.
it's very joyful, it's very instinctive.
Yeah.
You need to have a very tight connection with your musicians because everything is done on the spot. So they need to feel you, you need to feel them. They need to be inspired for you. You need to be inspired for them. You need to pay attention to everything that is happening because it comes on the spot and you don't know when it's going to come. I love it, absolutely love it. But I remember that at first I was in panic because, like most dancers, you know, I wanted to be a little bit in control. I wanted to know, have an idea what they were going to do. And this is not how a Beledi Awadi happens. It's totally improvised. It's totally open. Let's see what happens. So it's like an adventure, but that requires a level of attention to the music that is superior to the level that we are used to. We really need to be with our ears and our heart totally tuned into the music. Otherwise, it's a disaster. So this is it. Let me see if our dancers are sharing with us. And by the way, guys, me and Mr. George, we're going to hold a workshop live and recorded on how to interpret Egyptian instruments on the 4th and 5th of November, okay? When we finish the live session, I'm going to tell you more about it if you want to join us. And I'm also going to share the link for more information in the comments to this live session, okay? But before I tell you about that, let me check what you are sharing with us. Hello, Maureen. Jamila says, you two are too cute together. Such a wonderful blending of humor and knowledge. For me, the best way to be taught. Yes, we are both crazy. احنا مجانين الاثنين مش كده? We are crazy.
And
So
I would add something, Joanna, you're the beauty. Me, I'm the beast. The beauty and the beast.
لا لا ما ينفعش مش كده. No. Now you will have lots of ladies saying, no, Mr. George is beautiful. Don't say that. You are Omar Sharif. Okay. No. We are crazy and we love music and we love art. So it is natural that we meet on many levels. Now, one last question. Who taught you the most about Egyptian music?
My first teacher, Milad Mansour, who was the student of Ibrahim Al-Aryan, the very famous qanun player who played for Kulthum and Abdul Wahab, and he also has very famous Sama'i. Ti- ti- ra- ran- da- 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 da, dun- da- dun- dun- dun, da- 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 da, Ibrahim Al-Aryan. And he also studied with Abdul Halim Al-Addawi. And I learned so much from him.
How beautiful. Who taught you the most about Egyptian music? I think of two main entities. First of all, I think about my musicians in Egypt. They taught me a lot about music, but at the time I did not think of them like teaching me, that I did not see it like that. But because they knew I wanted to know, and they knew I was very engaged and very interested, every day before we start working, even outside of rehearsals, they would bring me music and they would play it for me just to show me, Juju, come and listen to this song. Juju, come and listen to this music. See if you like it. Every day. This is very generous. It's very generous. Now I see it at a distance. I say, oh my God, I don't believe those guys did that. Every day before we start working, they had new music to show me. Every day. So I'm not speaking about rehearsals. I'm speaking about spontaneous, just playing for me.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about Egyptian music repertoire, for sure, from so many things they showed me. And of course, working with musicians every day is a school.
It's fantastic. You're lucky.
Especially when you don't have a buffer. At least at the time when I was dancing in Egypt, the dancers who were in the market, they had a manager. And the manager was the one usually orchestrating and rehearsing. So they barely spoke with the musicians. They did not need to speak with musicians. But I did not have a manager. So I had no one between me and my musicians. I was the one rehearsing with them and telling them, I want this, I don't want that, this is too fast, this is too strong, or this is not the rhythm, this is not the mecan, this is. So I was the one fixing the music for the shows with them. And again, at the time, I did not see it like a school. I did not think, oh, I am learning about Egyptian music. No, I just did my job. I did what I had to do. That's it. I was just surviving and doing my job. But at a distance, I see what a school that was. What a school. What an incredible school.
What you can learn from all these people. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And many of them, they had been in the business since they were little.
That's it.
Their fathers have been musicians. So they had learned from their fathers. They had learned the craft, from the street, from Beledi weddings, afra, Beledi parties, from doing.
I need to get you a book. Keep on talking. I'll be right back.
Aside from my musicians, another source of incredible knowledge about Egyptian music was, not surprisingly, Mahmoud Reda. And when I tell about this, people get a little bit shocked, because Mahmoud Reda was a dancer, a teacher, a pioneer, but he was not a musician, and he was not a singer, but he was a lover of music, and he made me listen to a lot of music, and he showed me the importance of the music. So very often when I was studying and working with Mahmoud, he would call me apart. He would sit me down with him in his studio. He would bring an old tape recorder, and I mean really old, with these bobbins that go like that. I can see it in front of me. I have the image in my head, and he would make me listen to everything you can imagine. Ali Ismail, a beautiful composer who worked for the Reda Troupe, with the Reda Troupe, and also considered a genius. He made me listen to Mohammed Abdul Wahab a lot, especially Ali Ismail and Mohammed Abdul Wahab. So we listened a lot of music. He taught me how to listen as well, which is different from just listening a lot of music. You can listen a lot of music and not really pay attention to what you are listening. But with Mahmoud, we sat down and he called my attention. Look at what the violin is doing. Look at this rhythm. Look at what the Ney is gonna do right now, and look how they transition. Look at this transition. He would bring it back and make me listen to it again. And we were not dancing, we were just listening, okay? So we just sit down and listen to music. Listen and listen and listen and listen. So whenever we were working intensively, and we wanted to do a pause, he would bring me into the living room of the studio, and he would put music on, and we would just listen. Listen to this, listen to that, look at this detail, look at that detail, look at that detail. And that, once again, I did not consider it a school, because I was just sharing a moment with him, just, okay, we are listening to music together, that's what we do, okay. But as I see it, with space, because time gives you clarity, right? You become, certain things become clear. I see it as a school. So first of all, the greatest masters, the ones who taught me how to love and appreciate Egyptian music and how to listen and know what to do with it, were my musicians, hands down. I cannot remove them from the throne, because really they were not only working with me, but they were so generous. They were overly generous with me, not normal,
Very kind, very kind, yeah.
Very, very generous.
Show you. Oops.
A treatise on Qanun musical ornaments.
And the handsome, who is me?
We know the beautiful Ustaz George. I'm going to compete with you with the eyebrows, huh? We are going to have a competition of eyebrows very soon. I am training.
I also want to show you
I am training.
People I used his music for his ornament is from Syria, from Damascus. And when Abdul Saleh was not feeling well, he told Kulthum, when I die, bring him. So this is her letter to Celine Sarwa. And you can see Kulthum Ibrahim right here.
Beautiful. Would you be able to share the link of that book in the comments to the session in case dancers want to check it?
Yeah, I just have to, if you go to Brill, I don't have the link, but I can see Brill.
You don't have to share it now, but once we close the session,
okay,
can you get the link and share it in the comments?
Sure.
Please. Okay, so what is going to happen is we're going to meet, me and Mr. George and you, hopefully on the 4th and 5th of November. Sorry, guys, because there is so much happening at the same time. Oh, beautiful. Gamil. So, and we are going to host a workshop.
I'll give you a little taste.
Okay, give us a taste and then I'll tell them about the work. I felt like playing the Sagat. La, la, li.
And this is the famous Ney. And it was made by Malak. He was the flute player of Suhair Zaki. He made his own flute. Yeah. So this flute have seen Suhair Zaki for years.
Allah, that sounds brings me back to the shores of the Nile.
That's it, exactly. Exactly.
It brings me back to the shores of the Nile.
And then you have this magnificent tar. The beauty of this folkloric rhythm is their simplicity. Cabaret drummers ruin them. Too much ornament. You don't need to.
True. It's true. It's true.
And then I have
But
a balloon here. What a beauty.
let me read the comments from our beautiful ladies before we close the session. Dana
Okay.
is saying the ney is so precious. The sound of the ney is so beautiful. Tamara also, she's saying so beautiful. It is. It brings tears to my eyes, literally. It takes me back to very special places in Egypt, and it's so soulful. And oh my God, what a trip. Uh, Jen is saying, I was laughing inside our course, arms and hands polishing, yesterday when Joana did the eyebrow move, just like Mr. George. Mr. George, did you listen? I am stealing your eyebrow domination.
Okay. And you can also do, it's okay, take them, take my eyebrows. You can also do Masmoudi. Doom, doom, tak, doom, tak.
لا لسه بقى لسه I am working on it. I am working on it. شوية شوية بقى. I will get there. I will get there. I will beat you at this eyebrows dance. You will see. You will see. I am very competitive. I am very competitive downstairs. Now you're thinking she's losing it. She's losing it. What happened to her? Okay, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that. And this is something that we're going to do in the workshop, in the live workshop I mentioned, how to interpret Egyptian instruments. We are going to have Mr. George with us. Me and Mr. George, he's going to bring his experience as a musician. We are going to have live music illustrating so much of what you will learn in the workshop. I am going to bring the side of the dance experience, and Mr. George is going to bring his musician expertise. So as I was saying, we are going to meet on the 4th and 5th of November. That's Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be live, but also recorded. So even if you cannot join us live, you will be able to subscribe, and then you can check the replays for a couple of months. The workshop will be available for a while for the registered participants. And the idea here is to go deeper into the instruments, their character, and what they invite us to do as dancers. We're not going to teach you formulas because there are no formulas. So I'm not going to promise something that we will not deliver. But what we will do is bring you closer to the instruments, closer to the voice and the identity and the style of the instruments, and give you directions on how to listen to them and how to interpret them, respecting their nature, but also respecting your creativity and your personal intake, your personal perspective on that sound. Just like Mr. George was saying, you know, for instance, the doof. It's such a basic, essential, earthy, simple sound. And some musicians rack it because they complicate. They ornament too much. They give it too much power, too much strength.
Terrible.
It is not the nature of the instrument.
No.
It's not what the instrument was made for. So the same way musicians sometimes don't know how to respect the instruments. And that's interesting, because I have heard accordionists who don't know the nature of accordion baladi. Also, they ornament too much, they complicate too much. And I say, la, basit. Yani, simple, yani, respect the, how can I put this into words? The nature of the instrument.
Yes, exactly.
The nature of the instrument. So the same way musicians sometimes get lost and they don't really know what to do with that instrument, even if they have a lot of technique. The same happens with dancers. They don't know what to do with these sounds, and they don't have the guidance to take them back to these sounds, understand what they are listening and what those specific sounds and instruments are inviting them to do.
Exactly.
And this is what we're going to tackle in the workshop. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to invite you once more to join us if you like. I'm going to share the link for more information about the workshop, either in the comments or in the description box below the video. I am going to ask Mr. Jorge to share the link of the book that he has shown, because I know there will be interested parties here. And if we don't see each other on the 4th or 5th of November at our workshop, feel welcome to share this replay, to watch the replay, to share your questions, even if we are not live anymore, because I promise you sooner or later we're going to answer them. Thank you again for joining me, Mr. Jorge.
My pleasure.
Very soon, eyebrow competition.
You're
Oh,
getting,
Keda, what do you
you're,
think? What do you think? I'm not sleeping. I've been practicing.
you're fantastic.
Ah, I've been practicing. Ah, you are done. It's gonna be a fun workshop.
You speak like you went from Cairo. Very baladi.
I know. Anna Beledi.
Yeah.
Anna Beledi all the way. This is my character. So if I am relaxed,
يا راجل.
all the way. This is my character. This is why I am good in Beledi style, because Anna Beledi. عامل ايه? Really, I joke about it, but it is true. But that's for another subject. That's for another event. My darlings, thank you for dropping by. Thank you for sharing your love here. All our beautiful students and dancers who showed up here, I'm so glad to have you on board and to see your names and to feel you on your side, on that side. I'm just gonna read one last comment and we're gonna close. So Dana says, to study the structure of a musical piece. That would also be very valuable in the subject of musicality, because I think that the structure of the music, its different parts and characteristics, also create a dance piece. Absolutely, absolutely. And that is something that we hope to do very, very soon. In this workshop, we will not focus on the entire structure. We will focus on the instruments, but that can help.
I explained the structure in chapter 4 of this book.
Okay, can you share that also in the link? In the comments?
Yeah, the book is sold out, but it's I can send them the PDF for free.
Okay.
Yeah, if they subscribe to your lecture, I'll send it to you, then you can send it to them.
Okay, yeah. I will. So whoever wants a copy of the book, let me know and we will send it to you, okay? I hope to see you on the 4th and 5th of November with me and Mr. Jorge with our eyebrow competition. I am going to win. And and with our gorgeous workshop on Egyptian instruments. I am so pumped for this. I'm so excited because this is really my lane. It's my thing. I absolutely love to develop this subject with dancers, and I can only hope I will see you there. Many kisses. Busa kibira, ya ustes. Shukran. Always. See you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.